Well, hello everyone, and I welcome you to a gear change show, and not to talk about a topic or when I talk about the gear change show, usually I talk about people who were in motorsport and people who revolutionized cars or motorsport or anything like that, or some topic. But we also pay tribute to those who, to the greats in motorsport, that had made so much of an impact. People remember them to the day they die, and we do actually honor, and I do actually honor those who died in motorsport. Those include Dale Sr., Ayrton Senna, not Michael Schumacher. No one knows what's going on with him. And a lot of the greats, Pedro Rodriguez, Joe Siffert, Alan Simonson, and not Paul Dana, but and many other IndyCar stars. Greg Moore. Greg Moore was also an IndyCar driver. For those of you who haven't seen his crash, it's very violent, very vicious. A very young talent taken from us. The reason why I'm doing this today, and the reason why you're seeing a Marlboro schemed Honda NSX, is because I'm going to cover the passing of Gilles de Ferran. Gilles de Ferran, for those of you who know, was a Honda representative. He represented Honda in the IRL and in sports cars and Acura, Honda Performance, Acura again just recently with the new ARX06 hybrid that's been racing in world competition for the last year or so. A car that will enter its second season. So Gilles de Ferran started out, was a very, now I didn't know about Gilles de Ferran a lot until I started watching him doing sports cars. I knew he was an IndyCar driver, but I didn't think he really was. He was one of those. I thought he was one of those also-rans that just didn't make a mark. Gilles de Ferran was an extraordinary guy. Now I don't know him personally. I've met the guy. I've shaken his hand to say good luck to him, because I got to see him race in the American Le Mans series between 2008 and 2000. Well, I got to watch him race 2008, 2009. So he was with the ARX 01A, 01C, 01B program when Acura made updates to their ARX 01A, so the 01B spec, and Gilles started about halfway through the season at Salt Lake City. I remember watching the first race, and I didn't know who Gilles de Ferran was, and then I looked him up, and All I knew is he did some sports car stuff, but he also did some IndyCar stuff. I know he did a lot of work for Honda and stuff like that. I know he did race in the Indy 500 a couple of times. He did race in the Indy 500 a couple of times when before the split. He was mostly known for his. It wasn't until later on till I discovered Champion Auto Racing Teams, or CART, for those of you who are old enough to remember that series. CART was probably the most insane. CART was probably the most insane series of all time. I think Gilles de Ferran was mostly open wheel. He did karting formula. He did basically what Ayrton Senna and Emerson Fittipaldi did. He was kind of an Emerson Fittipaldi of our time. He did IndyCar. I don't think. Did he do sports cars? I don't think Emerson did sports cars. I think he was just mostly Formula One and open wheel, but I might be wrong. He may have done a one-off sports car race, but I highly doubt it. He was too busy driving for Lotus and McLaren and Lotus to McLaren Lotus, and then for Penske in the 90s, and Pat Patrick, and then Penske in the 90s and stuff like that. And but Gilles de Ferran, speaking of Penske, Gilles de Ferran was, they picked up Gilles de Ferran. Gilles de Ferran was around as early as, I'm going to say 94, 95. I think Gilles de Ferran had maybe one or two starts in 94, and then he gained popularity. And I think it was by 96, 97-ish that he started to gain popularity to where he was running in the IRL. And then eventually I think he went back to CART. And he went to CART, and I think he went back to the IRL. It wasn't until 1999, 2000 that Penske actually decided, well, his big claim to fame, I think he did Formula One, as Gilles de Ferran, I think he did Formula One testing at one point. I don't think he did too many races. I think he tested, but he didn't do too many races. He did the lower Indy style racing, and then eventually I think he worked his way up into CART. It wasn't until 1999, 2000 that Roger Penske started to figure out that his the Penske car chassis weren't going to cut it, and he decided to get rid of Al Unser Jr. He decided to get rid of Paul Tracy, who was fast guy, but he was a hooligan and an idiot with his words. But Paul Tracy, no offense to Paul, but he was intense, but he could be an idiot. But when the adrenaline's running, it's hard to say. But so in 2000, Penske hired Helio Castroneves. He also hired Gilles de Ferran. He also bought the Reynard chassis, bought the Firestone tires, and switched to Honda power, which was kind of the leading engine at the time. And it was a huge thing because Penske figured he kind of has two, he has two Brazilian drivers, and they're in a Honda car with a Marlboro paint scheme on it. It kind of reflects the Senna days. And what's funny is the car you have on screen was actually, well, its predecessor, its earliest, was actually developed by Senna to be a pure racing car, and you'll see that in the tribute laps, in my moment of silence tribute laps, in the second part of this video, that this is sort of thing. And I think Castroneves definitely, not Castroneves, Gilles definitely took a lot from Senna, because Senna was just one of those drivers that a lot of people liked watching, and they learned a lot from him. So Gilles de Ferran and Castroneves did very well. It did very well in their first season, but it was, moving over to Gilles. Castroneves is a great driver. He's won the Indy 500 4 times, so Castroneves really doesn't need an introduction. Castroneves is a really great driver. He's won a bunch of races, and he's won the Indy 500 4 times, so I really don't need to give him any introduction. Castroneves is his own legend in himself, and being the high energy, high intensity guy that he is, he was a perfect teammate for the very calculated and very softly spoken Gilles de Ferran, although de Ferran had his moments. De Ferran actually got Penske his 100th win, and a lot of people were like, oh, so this guy can do something, so this kid can do something. Gilles would end up winning I think in his first 2 seasons, he would win 1 championship, and I think he would set many pole positions, and the most influential one out of all of them in the early 2000s was when he set the course record at 241 miles an hour at California Speedway or Auto Club Speedway, I forget which one. Auto Club Speedway at 241 miles an hour, and I think he blew the second fastest qualifier by, I think, like 2.5 miles an hour. For those of you who are like, oh, you're supposed to time it, it's an oval. And during a lot of people, lap time's important, but a lot of people do it by speed. Indy racing has always been done by speed on an oval when they do a road course, and Gilles was very good on a road course. He was very good at manhandling those 950 horsepower. Talks of 1,000 in that thing back then, but he did a very good job manhandling this, so much that he went away for a little bit. I think he participated in the IRL when CART and the IRL did the split. I think he also did Champ Car for a little while during that whole thing, and I think after a while he represented Honda. He represented kind of Honda and other stuff. It wasn't until, I'm going to say, the mid-2000s, it wasn't until 2007, 2008, that the deal of the century that would put him on the map and would make him quite the ambassador for these cars. And he would be the ambassador for future endeavors like Fernando Alonso and stuff like that. I'll get to that in a minute. They struck a deal with Acura. He struck a deal with Acura, and he made his own racing team. And he partnered with Simon Pagenaud for the first year. And the team up was so good that Honda Performance HPD decided to keep him and Simon Pagenaud to be opposite David Brabham and Scott Sharp in the ARX-02A, probably one of the worst conceived LP1 cars of all time, and probably one of the weakest engines. But Gilles was able to, I think, get like 3 or 4 wins in a 10 or 11 race season. I think David Brabham and Scott Sharp ended up scoring more consistently, but the matter of the fact was they were actually able to keep things going, and still be very competitive. After that, he did a few more runs at the Indy 500, and then I think it was around 13 or 14 when HPD started going into the prototype racing, that he became the ambassador for that and for IndyCar, and he was ambassador for a lot of drivers, a lot of Spanish-speaking drivers like Fernando Alonso, and his four-time Indy 500 winning teammate. He even he helped with that as well, and he's forever known as Mr. 241. It's just sad that we lost him so early. He died at 56 of a heart attack, and stuff like that. So Gilles was amazing to watch. Was amazing to watch. Both, I think it was. I think when I watched them at Lime Rock in 09, I believe they won at Lime Rock. He was an amazing driver. He could drive whatever you wanted, whatever you would put him in. I'm pretty sure he had. I'm pretty sure he had a good vision for what Honda wanted to do, and he turned out some. He turned out some amazing absolutely amazing race cars, and he was able to team up with some great people, and he definitely I remember he did run. I think he did run Le Mans. No, he didn't run Le Mans. I think he ran a couple races in IndyCar, and after that, but I think he retired and he just became a team owner. And eventually, I think after IMSA dissolved and merged with Grand Am and became the WeatherTech, the tutor United Sports Car Series, of the WeatherTech Sports Car Series as we know it now. He became he was brand ambassador on a lot of the projects, and he also was kind of the showrunner on the new ARX06 hybrid GTP, but it's a shame we lost him. He was definitely a great competitor. He was very fierce. He could definitely get a lot of pole positions. He picked Penske up out of the doldrums before Penske decided to join the IRL, I think a year later or something like that. After Reynard folded, Penske knew his chances of winning a IRL championship or a car championship were very slim and none. He knew it was at the end of the lifespan. I think it was the year later, after Penske left, that when he went to the IRL, he made the good choice. And DeFerran was just a great character. He was very lively. It was a big challenge for him to come back to sports cars at 41 years of age and still be able to compete with these younger guys that were less than half his age. So, I mean, Pagenaud was young when he took him at 41. At 41, it's not. He wasn't young by any stretch. So, I think Pagenaud. How old was Pagenaud? I think Pagenaud was like 23, 24. And Pagenaud was also a Formula One style guy, except he didn't make it. Pagenaud ended up making it into sports cars. Now he's doing IndyCar now, where he should be, and. He's sort of a Sebastian Bourdais a little bit. He's won the Indy 500, so he's there up with Gilles and stuff like that. And Gilles was always good with good winning teammates. He was always with some great teams. I mean, he was with Penske, and I think he was with Jim Chaparral at one point. I think during the IndyCar days. So during his early IndyCar days. So as a tribute to Jim Chaparral, I think, because he worked for Jim as a Indy guy. I'll have to look that up. He ended up delivering his ARX 02A with the 66 with the round number scheme, and then he ended up putting 66 like he was in the old days. So yeah, Gilles, I know you're up there, buddy. Just sad to lose you this early. So 56 years old. Fitting that my last comment about him would be in Japan. Would be a scene in Japan. So coming up next will be a moment of silence, and with some laps around the track that he won his last professional race in before he retired, because he retired in 2009, and then he became a brand ambassador for Acura in 2010. So, and Acura and Honda for IRL and stuff like that. So, all right, peace, guys. I will see you guys for Sunday, for the final day. I'm going to show my face for the final day. I'm not going to do a countdown or anything like that, because I'm going to be over my aunt's house to welcome in the new year. I'm going to do one early so I can get it out of the way. But this is my come over for the gear change show here on a Saturday night. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and this video will be out very, very soon. I hope you guys enjoyed episode 419 for the 119 for the year, and 490 for the year. Tomorrow will be 491, the final episode of one of the most amazing years we've had, but unfortunately we ended on a sad, the penultimate episode we kind of had on a sad note, but this one goes out to good old Gilles and his legacy with Honda. guys. This is just me taking a few laps. If you guys haven't guessed it already, this is me taking a few laps in remembrance of Gilles de Ferran, IndyCar driver who just passed away on the 29th. Just learned the news today, so just doing a couple of laps in a Honda NSX, livered in the Marlboro colors that he wore when he broke the closed course lap record at California Speedway at 241 miles an hour or so, for those of you who don't remember that lap. And he's coming in towards the pits for his final pass.